These are the most important elections Kenya has had since independence from colonial rule, because they're the first to be held under a new constitutional dispensation. We promulgated a new liberal democratic kind of model of constitution in August of 2010, which includes in it provisions for devolution of power. So power is going to be devolved to 47 different counties around Kenya. That is huge. It introduces a wide variety of constitutional offices that are supposed to implement a regime of checks and balances that is unprecedented in Kenya's history. This is all happening at the same time as Kenya, or some of the leading presidential candidates, key members of our elite here in Kenya, are facing trials before the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity at The Hague. And some of these individuals are candidates at the next election. So all that mixed in together makes these elections pretty momentous. The pre-election violence as we face the coming election has started already. We have serious violence in Tana River, in Garissa, and a range of other parts of the country. We have violence and simmering tensions in parts of Nairobi. There is absolutely nothing new about that. What happened in 2007, 2008 was the sort of calamitous, explosive nature of the violence that took place. It was very CNN friendly. It was very, Western media. Everyone caught off guard, particularly by the violence that took place in the Rift Valley, because it saw the displacement of more than 500,000 people and about 1,000 people dead. The price of violence to the elite has been raised very high by the International Criminal Court becoming part of the Kenyan political process, the Kenyan legal and political process. And so there are those who would argue that the likelihood of elite-driven violence has declined. However, that doesn't mean that with devolution, we may not see intensified, localized incidents of violence, as we have seen in Tana River and a few other parts of the country where very intense violence, a large number of deaths. The issue of land in Kenya is the hot political potato. At independence, only 20% of Kenya's land was of high quality agriculturally. 80% of Kenya is actually arid and semi-arid, but 80% of the population lives in the 20% that is of high potential and 20% in the other part of Kenya. So we have a huge part of our population crammed into a very small area of a country that still calls itself agricultural. We are very rapidly urbanizing society. So corruption with regard to the way land adjudication and privatization has been managed by successive regimes to date has led to deep structural class-based and ethnic-based inequalities that are as yet unresolved. In fact, they are sometimes used by political players to mobilize political support. We're urbanizing very rapidly, and it's the speed with which the state can create the environment in which the private sector can create the jobs, assisted by the state, to soak up this huge barge of young people, several 100,000 young people who join the job market every year, to employ them in our cities, in these growing urban areas. That is the key to peace in the future in Kenya. There are key reforms that need to happen in a graduated way for us just to be able to go step by step. So reforming the judiciary, that has started, which is very positive. Reforming the security services, that has started. It's a bit late, but that's very, very positive. Reforming the machinery of managing elections, that's very, very important. And some of those have started being put in place, which is key. What we need to come up with now is an economic framework via which we are able to create employment as if it was a national crisis. One has to keep in mind, Kenya had just come out of a near-death experience in 2008, when with the help of the international community, we slapped together the National Accord, which included a lot of it. It was a wish list. There's a lot of cut and paste, to be very honest. We haven't Kenyanized it yet. I think the process has begun now of Kenyanizing it. It's going to be painful. It will be bloody, so there will be more violence. It won't be the kind of violence that perhaps people expect, but that is a challenge. The challenge is not so much ticking all the boxes in a technical form as if we're implementing a World Bank project, but making sure that Kenyans own the changes that are happening to them and by them. There are those who would argue that the system of devolution that we're implementing will create a lot of losers in a situation where losers don't take losing kindly. Last time we had the international community that jumped in. It's not going to happen this time. We're going to have to solve the problems ourselves. And if we don't, we will become like an ice cream in the sun, melting slowly. And the Kenya that we've always wanted to believe in, that is a country that has been able to reach where it has without bin rolls, but by the sweat of its brow, will go under and become characterized by consistent, steady violence and an unacceptably high level of political volatility all the time.